What's up, guys? I've got yet another Ultra Premier video for you today. Sorry for those of you who were looking for an Open Ultra video. I spent the entire weekend just losing games, and even more than the weekend, just losing games in Open Ultra. I just couldn't make anything work. I'm really sorry about that. But fortunately, we're back to Ultra League Premier. Unfortunately, my rating is a bit lower than it usually is. This team is an interesting one. It's very similar to the first ever Ultra League Premier team that I created with Typhlosion and Gengar, using Galvantula to bait out the Snorlaxes and the Obstagoons instead. I actually had a lot of success with this team, even after these 4 sets on video. I don't think I've lost a set since. It's just been very consistent, although I am playing at a lower rating. If you'll notice as well, I do have music playing. This music is by Glitch X City. I was trying it out just for one of these videos, so just let me know if you like the music or not. It's definitely in the test phase for sure. If it's something people don't like, then obviously I'll move away from it, but I heard it might be able to cover up some of the audio issues. And then, of course, I'll be playing this team on stream Wednesday at 6 p.m. PST, so tune in if you have any questions about it or want to learn how to play it a little bit better. But either way, let's get into this gameplay video here really quick. And shout out to my Patreon supporters. Alright, so this team, kind of a double weakness team. What you're trying to do here, same thing as the other Gengar closer video, you're trying to bait out the Snorlaxes and the Obstagoons with your Galvantula so that your Gengar can sweep. And you can see I'm running Shadow Ball. I was debating running Sludge Bomb because there were a couple times where I kind of wish I could have swapped into my Gengar instead of my Galvantula instead. Just when it's something like a Machamp in the lead, where my Galvantula can deal with that no problem later. Without shields, whereas Gengar, you do need to keep a shield up. But I decided to go Shadow Ball, and I actually didn't run into any troubles, or I haven't yet through like 7 sets or something like that, about getting my Gengar away from those dark and or normal types. So the team has been working very well in that regard. Fortunately, there's a decent amount of lag through a bunch of these sets as well. But we can see in this double grass set, I saved my Galvantula for this Venusaur. As you're able to just, well, you aren't able to confusion down. I was misled by a Reddit post. You cannot confusion down a Venusaur. You do need to throw something, especially if you swap a little bit slow, because the Frenzy Plant does KO. But I've set myself up in a good position. I didn't need to KO that Venusaur. I really just needed to, I guess, make sure my Obstagoon or my Gengar was not going to get farmed down somehow by that Lapras. But yeah, the safer play, like I said, this is my first set with the game, with this team. I make a lot of mistakes in the first couple sets for sure, but either way, this one doesn't matter too much. I think they're building to a Skull Bash, but even then, I don't think that KOs. And take a look at this next game here. So we have Empoleon, another good lead for Obstagoon. There's a lot of Pokemon that really don't deal with Obstagoon well. Right here, I'm just trying to catch an Octazooka and then switch, but they actually charge the Outrage, which is a bit interesting. So I left all my energy on my Obstagoon just because, and I like to do this with Obstagoon, is because if you get you kind of want to store energy on Obstagoon for when you're going to not be switching them out, right? So you can just slam all those Night Slashes in and just hope for the boost. And if you get the boost, you don't want to be switching out, right? Like, if I'd thrown a Night Slash, I would have thrown a Night Slash and switched out, because I want this Obstagoon for this Empoleon later, right? But in this case, I'm going to be able to get to, I bait with the Leaf Blade, because I know I'll only be able to get to two Leaf Blades. If I throw Close Combat, I won't have enough for a second move. And I'm going to swap right into Obstagoon here. And this was awful. This lag, I'm pretty sure, cost me the game. Because I tried to switch in, throw that Cross Chop to either guarantee that Empoleon going down or burn a shield. And instead, for some reason, it lagged up. They got an entire Waterfall and then a charge move through before I even get my Cross Chop off, which doesn't make any sense. Even if I did tap the counter first, I should still be able to beat them to a charge move. And unfortunately, what we're looking at here is a Dragonite with just a little bit too much health left, and an Empoleon in the back as well. And that was a throw. That's called me being tilted from the the catch there. But yeah, and unfortunately, because I decided not to farm up on the Dragonite, I'm going to lose that game as well. So partially lag, partially misplay on my part. Like, despite the lag, I definitely could have still won that game, but frustrating nonetheless. We're going to see an Abomasnow lead here, and we're going to go to Swampert. So, best counter in this team to Swampert is by far Gallade. Not a counter by any sense of the word, but it's our best check, I would say. I believe if they go Earthquake here, it really hurts. We can win shields, but it's a tough decision to be able to do this, and it's very IV dependent. Like if my Gallade was a little bit less bulky, I wouldn't have been able to get to that all important Leaf Blade to get the second shield. And this Swampert has an absolute ton of energy. I decide to come down since it shields down Swampert. My plan is to spend my shields here too, trade them for a ton of energy on Gengar, because if they don't have something that resists Shadow Ball, it's not going to matter. So I get as much energy on Gengar as possible. I'm not able to farm all the way down. I have to switch to Goon, which is fine. And they're gonna come with Gallade. So this is kind of an exercise in getting energy on your Pokemon to make it so other Pokemon can't come in on them. So for example, in this case, we have this Gallade. It would love to come in on my Gengar, but not if my Gengar has any amount of energy. So they're forced to bring in this Gallade into my Obstagoon, which is perfect for me, right? And they still have their Abomasnow. Unfortunately, in this case, I'm not running Sludge Bomb. Fortunately, have such a big energy lead that we're going to be able to snuff out this Abomasnow right before it gets to a charge move. I think that was its 5th Powder Snow there. And then, obviously, Gengar is still healthy enough to be able to do the 3 Shadow Claws necessary to take out that Gallade. So, another win here, and this is just from taking shield advantage and pumping energy on some of your Pokemon with your shields. Like, you don't always have to trade shields for Pokemon. You can trade shields for energy, and that energy will come in handy later. So for example, this game, I would have loved to swap in Gengar if I had Sludge Bomb, but unfortunately I don't. So despite Gallade being the better counter for Poliwrath, I unfortunately have to switch into it here. But you can see, like, even versus this Fairy, and this is the main issue with this team, is that both the lead and the swap are weak to Fairy. That's the biggest issue. So Fairy leads are a big problem. But if they're in the back, you bait them out with Gallade anyways, and then Gengar and Obstagoon still have really good matchups. In this case, this is a really interesting matchup. I really have to hope that they're just baiting and going for the Ice Punch to win this game, because I'm really far behind. Because obviously Poliwrath into Obstagoon and Poliwrath is not a very good play, and then I have a Gengar into Umbreon in the back, which is awful. I'm not running Focus Blast, so it's awful. But we're gonna see how this game plays out anyways, right? I actually almost top lefted this game. I almost just clicked that button on the top left. Solves all your problems, right? Because you just quit the game, you don't have to deal with any of that. But I shield an Ice Punch, I think, as well. And then I swap right away, because I do not want to get Dynamic Punch on Obstagoon. If I can take out this Poliwrath, then my Obstagoon is still decently healthy in the back to deal with the Umbreon. Now, Obstagoon versus Umbreon is by no means a guaranteed win. By no means. But it is pretty comfortable, especially when you look at a Shadow Ball from Gengar. That's resisted against probably the tankiest Pokemon in Ultra League. And it still deals a good 25% of Umbreon's health, which is probably going to end up being the decider here. As it looks like I just need to get to 2 Cross Chops. But look how tanky this Umbreon is. So this is XL Pokemon. If you notice, my team uses 0 XL Pokemon. None of them really even have to be that close to level 40. Besides Obstagoon, kind of. But Zigzagoon Candies aren't hard to find or anything. So facing up against these XL Pokemon, it can be daunting, but this is kind of just an example team as well to show you don't really need XL Pokemon to reach Legend or compete at that level, right? It's nice to have. It's nice to have that variety for sure, but XL Pokemon are by no means a necessity to play in Ultra League, at least. In Master League, Premier, different story. But in Ultra League, yeah, there's no need to complain about that. I'm pretty far from getting any XL Pokemon. But when I do, I'm going to love to use them, just because I know I've used those Pokemon in Great League before, and I'm much more comfortable there. But until then, I don't mind using these little Gimp Pokemon. They're honestly pretty good, it's just your teams are really squishy. Okay, so sorry, ignored gameplay for a little rant there. Sorry about getting sidetracked. We have an Excadrill come in. I did not shield because I wanted to see if I could live it. The answer was no, I could not live that move at all. Drill Run does a ton of damage. Excadrill actually a pretty good budget Galarian Stunfisk here. And after I've seen how much that drill run can do, I'm not saving energy anymore. I'm just going to pop this extra drill. I don't want to have to shield on my goon. And instead, we're going to take a Weather Ball to the face there, probably some more. I think my plan here is, since I swapped into Gallade and their best answer was Excadrill, I'm saving both of my shields for Politoed. Or sorry, for Gengar. On Politoed, unfortunately this Ampharos gets to 5 Volt Switches. I've lost, right? I need to get to that Shadow Ball. I think we CMP tied there. The Thunder Punch, but even if they got it off, I still have that shield, right? So, in this case, I will blow it just to guarantee the win, but I'm pretty sure I could have won this if saving the shield for the Obstagoon anyways. But yeah, so I think, was this the end of the first set here? I think so. It's a 4 out of 5, and honestly, if I had not lagged / misplayed in that second game, this would have been a pretty easy 5 out of 5 as well. But right, it was my first game with the team. I really do like Gallade as the switch. I haven't tried Typhlosion in a little bit, but Gallade is just pretty broken. So here we go, first example of it drawing out the Snorlax, and unfortunately it is Shadow Snorlax, right? So I don't know how much damage any of this does, but I can't be afforded to shield Body Slam, and I'll try to get close combat off, but Lick is a 1-turn move, and it's going to annihilate my Gallade. It's got that that first strike, if you guys play Magic the Gathering, that's Snorlax, so I'm not in that good of a situation. If you watch the rest of these games, though, you're going to see I play these a lot better coming up. I'm much more conscious about how much damage that Body Slam from Snorlax does, so I'm almost able to win shield advantage in the mid game as well. So this game is a bit rough already to start because I didn't get that shield back on the Snorlax with the close combat. But like, to be fair, my opponent played extremely well. I don't know why I'm going for the Shadow Ball here. I should have been going for the Shadow Punch. It's a much better play, and I think I'm just going to let this go because my Gengar is almost at 0 energy. I'm able to come in with the Obstagoon and throw a move before this Charizard can throw their move, and my win condition has appeared. Wild Wind condition appears, and unfortunately I tapped that Night Slash. So yeah, a lot of misplays from me. I think I do this again in another set coming up as well. But if I hadn't tapped that Night Slash, this game is looking a lot better. They get the extra Vine Whip through. Otherwise, I think we would have had to CMP tie there. So just a lot of little stuff going wrong for me. Oh no, they CMP tied there, so it wouldn't have mattered. But a lot of little stuff going wrong for me here. I honestly could have won this game too, but a lot of little misplays. And it's just, that's why I still wanted to showcase this team, because I feel like it gives you a chance in almost every game. There's not too much. And there's no Pokemon where you're like, oh, well, I've lost. Galvantula is pretty close, though. Galvantula is pretty rough. My goal here, get a Night Slash off before the Volt Switch so that they'll shield. Sorry, before the Discharge or Lunge, so they'll shield. And actually accidentally force them to overtap. This is not better because then my goal is to take a Lunge and then switch out Gallade. Now they have a little bit extra energy. But at least my Gallade is able to get that extra confusion through, which could be all of the difference as they swap into Umbreon. So as I'm about 25% health, and it's unlikely I'll get snarled down, I do throw my close combats right away. And this foul play would have KO'd anyways, right? So the defense drop doesn't really mean anything. And I'm going to go back into Obstagoon. Obstagoon is my only way to remove this Umbreon, this XL tanky Umbreon. But at the same time, I really don't want to use shields on Obstagoon. So I'm hoping that they were just, well, I was counting too, but they're just at that foul play. And now they come in with a Machamp. So this is definitely a possible win, especially with all these shields, especially if they're going to stay in like that. Because right now it's hard for them to bring their Spider back in. I just have to shield up their Rock Slides. And if it's likely they're going to bait me, right? But I have a win condition in sight already. I really don't want to have to do all of this stuff, and unfortunately I've locked in my move already. So like I said, I did this I remember this. I did this multiple times in the set. And I don't know why the video skipped there, but pretty much Machamp switches out because they know they're just gonna get farmed, and they bring in Galv, and I'm able to take it out with a Shadow Punch before it can get to a move. So pretty comfortable win. That could have been a little bit more comfortable had I not misplayed. I guess I didn't expect Machamp to beat Gengar and CMP. I didn't think anything could beat Gengar and CMP. Anyways, we have a Slowbro in the front, exactly where we want to see it. They're not switching out, which is a pretty good sign for Obstagoon, and it means that I'll probably be switching out after I take out the Snorlax or when they switch out their Snorlax. So yeah, they bring in this Togekiss, and at this point, I'm just really hoping that it's not Double Charmer. So I'm throwing this Shadow Punch. If it's Double Charmer, they won't shield. So they didn't shield, which is pretty bad news for me, because now I'm thinking it really is Double Charmer. What kind of madman doesn't shield versus Gengar if that's your only Charmer? But we're gonna take it out with a Shadow Punch, and I will have another Shadow Punch ready to go for this Slowbro. Honestly, I probably could have went for the ball, but the shield anyways. Kind of have to. It does so much damage if it's super effective. And I know this Slowbro only has Ice Beam and Psychic, so Ice Beam is non-stab, and they're going to switch out to Lapras. So while Obstagoon is also the best counter to this, it's very important to think about the end game, right? So think about this when you're playing your games. If you know all their Pokemon, you should be able to figure out in your head how they're supposed to line up, right? So even though Obstagoon is better against Lapras than Gallade is, we have to bring in Gallade, because Gallade can't do anything into Slowbro without energy. And you're going to take neutral confusions, and you're only going to be able to give back resisted confusions. So in this case, I just need to farm up a couple moves. And I have this Night Slash ready to go for Slowbro. So this is also, once Gallade is switched in, like I said earlier, right, Obstagoon is my best counter for both Lapras and Slowbro. So that means we're not shielding Gallade either. We just let the Gallade go down. Doesn't matter if you're next to a charge move. Doesn't matter. Just let it go down. Obstagoon is your MVP. Identifying your MVP is probably one of the most important and most difficult things in Pokemon Go PvP, because it has to happen in real time. And same with this Toxicroak. Like I mentioned earlier, kind of wish I was running Sludge Bomb on Gengar so I could safe swap it, but in this case, I mean, Gengar's pretty good against Toxicroak too. I mistimed this a little bit, and I'm forced to shield. And this is why I just need to count. There are two confusions, so they cannot possibly be at that Weather Ball yet. And we're like close combat, and now I've got another close combat, so them shielding the first one is honestly ideal. Burning Shield is great, and then I still get to take out their Pokemon to keep switch advantage. So I managed to keep switch advantage. We have that Toxicroak coming back, and it didn't get to farm too much. So now my Gengar has not too much of an energy disadvantage. And the problem with the Gengar matchup here is it's really bait dependent. If they call the Shadow Punch bait, then you're in a lot of problems, and they swap back into Swampert. So we're gonna have some issues here for sure. The Swampert has a shield advantage on Obstagoon. They're just going straight Hydro Cannon. But I think they'll realize that they need to go for that, well, I guess they don't realize they need to go for that EQ to finish off this goo. So they go for another Hydro Cannon. I'm not sure if they plan on farming me down or something. But I don't know why I didn't just throw my Night Slash. That might have been my win condition there. Instead, I'm going to throw Shadow Punch and CMB tie. Yeah, this was very poorly played. I had two moves that went down on Pokemon that I went down because I just didn't throw them. So if you can avoid those simple mistakes, I'm sure you guys can take this team to legend, no problem. We're seeing a Machamp lead. It was absolutely awful. But once again, I'm going to swap into Gallade, draw out this Snorlax. I've seen a lot of Shadow Machamp and Snorlax teams, right? So that's why you kind of do have to swap into Gallade off those Shadow Machamps. The Snorlax is almost certainly coming out. This time, I'm more cognizant of how much HP my Gallade has left, and we're able to take out the Snorlax coming in. So perfect. We won switch advantage, which is really important when you have that Gengar, or sorry, that Obstagoon into Machamp matchup. You really want to flip the script on that. And it's likely they have a Lapras in the back or some sort of ice type. So having that Obstagoon to deal with it is pretty important. And honestly, I probably shouldn't have shielded this because my Obstagoon can take care of waters from the back. And yeah, it's the Abomasnow, right? So So the classic Shadow Machamp, Snorlax, and Ice type line, which is a very strong line as well. I think if I had an Ice type or Snorlax, I would love to be running something like that. Love to try it out for sure. Yeah, so you can see even with the shield disadvantage, Goon is able to take down Abomasnow. Well, not really, because I'm gonna play MVP again, right? You gotta save shields for your MVP. Your MVP in this game is Gengar. It is the best Pokemon against Machamp in the back. Obstagoon can't do anything, and if it gets farmed down and throws a Rock Slide, then Gengar is going to lose. So you need to save that shield for Gengar. You can't afford to let your Obstagoon get farmed down. But it's just simple stuff like that that'll flip a lot of games. So another three winner here. Like I said, I didn't really have any banger sets besides that first one. It's just a lot of really consistent wins. You'll see I'll lose a lot of these first 2 games and bounce back as well. I don't know why that was happening, but yeah, it's skipping a little bit in games too, which is really weird. But there's Shadow Dragonite come in, and Shadow Dragonite, it's gonna throw this Dragon Claw. I'm not gonna shield because I've already locked into this close combat, unfortunately. I'm just gonna throw this close combat. So they shield, I didn't. Shield advantage, right? And now I'm gonna come back in with Obstagoon, because I know Obstagoon can take down this Dragonite without having to really do anything else, unless they burn a ton of shields. Yeah, like I've seen people tie this Dragonite on everything. Either they're doing it on purpose or I don't know. But this Dragonite is a pretty big threat to Gengar, just because of the damage pressure. They're going to come in with Kingdra, so I'm going to bait first. Like I said, Kingdras love to shield the first one because of Octazooka, right? They want to get that debuff on you first. And that's exactly what they'll do, if I remember in this game. Yeah. So attack debuff. This attack doesn't get debuffed. This one-shots the Kingdra. If this one-shots the Kingdra, I can one-shot the Escav right after. But unfortunately, I'm only able to get to the Shadow Punch here, and I'm just going to get farmed down by this Escav, and there's nothing the shield is going to do to save my Obstagoon. So I'm going to hit that top left button. It's the secret button. Save everyone a little bit of time. I don't need to look how much damage the counter does to my Obstagoon. I already know that from earlier in the match. So Charizard, this is one of the Pokemons that I do have trouble with, but mainly because I don't really know the counts for it. I'll have to learn them for Love Cup anyways. But I'm just going to go straight for this close combat. Thinking there's no way he's going to expect me to go straight for the close combat without at least building up to 2. But we see him tie Dragon Claws, unfortunately, and he's able to wing attack me down. So normally I've been switching straight out of Charizard, but when they have wing attack, it's much harder for Gallade. So I probably should have checked first. And unfortunately, they're already at the Blast Burn, and they catch my move on Venusaur. I was playing it like it had Fire Spin, and wing attack just absolutely wrecked me. Wing attack Charizard is a monster. It's unfortunate that move is Legacy, but I do think wing attack might be the best Charizard for Ultra League Premier. In this case, I'm just shielding up a little bit on this Venusaur. You can tank one Frenzy Plant, but it is questionable to say the least. I just throw the Shadow Punch because I want to keep a ton of energy on my Gengar. I'm trading shields for this, that's fine. The fast moves do nothing, right? I'll trade shields for energy on my Gengar all day, every day. Unfortunately though, they make another amazing swap here. My opponent played out of their mind. And I farm up a little bit more just to get to that Shadow Ball. Switch out to my Obstagoon to deal a little bit of damage and tank a Weather Ball. Unfortunately, I don't even get to the Cross Chop. So I'm just hoping that they spend a shield here. But even if they do, so they don't, it's a little bit too late. Too little too late situation. And my opponent played extremely well in this game. Really tough to come back from 2 caught moves. Not only two caught moves, like all the baits, just everything. They played that game really, really well. Gyarados, another kind of tough lead, right? But we're going to swap right away into Gallade, Dragon Breath Gyarados at least. Which means it's not dealing a ton of damage with Waterfall. I will take that any day. And it's not like any of my Pokemon are weak to Dragon, so I throw the Leaf Blade and they switch out to Typhlosion. So Typhlosion's kind of made a bit of a resurgence here. And I'm just going to throw the close combat because I don't want to get farmed as much. Hopefully this Incinerate will now KO and I'll get a shield back. But unfortunately, Typhlosion does an absolute ton of damage. Incinerate charges incredibly fast. I think it's just 5 Incinerates to 2 Blast Burns. Which is, yeah, so another Blast Burn here, which is absolutely incredible. I have to make a tough decision here. I do shield because I'm right at the Night Slash. I'm doing my fast move timing. I'm throwing 2 counters because they're 2-tiered fast moves to nestle right inside that, like a Russian nesting doll, nestle right inside that 5-turn move, play around it a little bit. I don't want them getting an extra Incinerate through. That's absolutely game losing. But we're gonna get a Shadow Punch off on this Gyarados. I'm not sure why if the fact that they brought their Gyarados in is a really good sign for me, because this means that they don't have anything for Gengar. And yeah, it's Escav in the back. And the Escav matchup with Gengar, if you're running Shadow Ball, is Chef's Kiss. They don't quite get to that drill run if they let the Shadow Ball through. So, yeah, that Gengar versus Escav or Magnezone, those are neutral matchups where it just feels so good because you just win if you just get a Shadow Ball off. But yeah, Ultra Premier, very, very non-tanky Pokemon. We're going to go see Obstagoon lead here. My backline is horrible against Obstagoon. So I normally say switch out of these double weakness lineups, but not today. Not today, we're not switching. We have to stay in. And they actually let the cross chop through, so this is really good for me. I don't really care that I'm down a shield in this case because I really just want to take care of the Obstagoon. I think that is the biggest threat to my team. They do have an Executor somehow, so this is actually a really big threat to the team too. It's a Pokemon that Obstagoon has to take care of, right? So, switching out of the Obstagoon, I was able to draw out this Executor because both of my Pokemon on the back can deal with Venusaur. So, because now this Executor is out of there, there's now 2 shields Venusaur versus 1 shield Gengar. This is closer than you think it is. But with a Venusaur, with 2 shields, you have to go straight Shadow Punch. So I'm just building up to Shadow Ball as a habit. Honestly, it's probably better just to throw Punch and then them just let the first one through. Because they'll KO them a little bit earlier. And they're like, oh, it's just a punch. I'm going to let it through. People always do that. So yeah, like they'd be KO'd already, I think. Or is it going to... No, it's just going to be a couple extra hits. But you do have to get a punch through anyways. And look at this. You survive that Frenzy Plant. Or Gengar survives the Frenzy Plant. Just a little bit of HP. And you're able to just Shadow Punch down that beat. Yeah, so to 3 Shadow Punches, that's 14 turns. Sorry, 14 Shadow Claws. And then to 3 Frenzy Plants, which is what they need to KO you with 1 shield. It's a little bit more than 18. So a lot of room for letting moves through there in that matchup. So I went straight for the close combat because I thought they wouldn't expect it. And even though I've done this a couple times now, it's not worked. So I think I do go back to building up a little bit more. Luckily this Empoleon did throw energy and my Galate though. So I'm able to barely counter it all the way down, which is very important here. I still have 2 shields for Gengar. This Charizard is going to be an extreme annoyance for sure, but we're just going to keep Night Slash spamming this thing, and I'll swap to Gengar. So the good thing about Gengar is you don't really have to count your moves. You're shielding regardless. No, I'm just kidding. Count moves. That was a joke. Always count your moves. It'll let you know when to throw your moves. And I don't do a good job of that in Ultra League Premier, but I definitely should advocate for it. But Dragonite comes back in. So Shadow Dragonite. Just look at the damage pressure it puts on Gengar. But I am going to be able to get to that second Shadow Punch. You see me clicking on that Shadow Ball? That's because I really thought I'd be able to get there, but the damage that just comes out of this Dragonite is insane. But luckily I have a loaded Night Slash, right? So this game was not that scary at all. I just need to get some damage onto the Dragonite so that I can finish off with the Obstagoon. Yeah, count moves. Counting moves very important for 2 reasons. First of all, you'll know if they're baiting you or not. If they don't do their proper due diligence and build up to the correct level. Second of all, it's important because you only want to be throwing charge moves when they're right at their next charge move too, to maximize energy. All the very good players out there, the very good content creators, like Throw Tactical and FP Sticks, you never see them throw moves until their opponent is right at their next move. Sometimes they don't talk about it because it's just comes so natural to them, right? But that is something that is definitely understated in Pokemon Go PvP for sure. So we're going to see a Politoed come back in. This is a bit rough. So I misread this team. Skarmory in the lead, right? I kind of took this like Great League. I assumed it was a Swampert in the back, but I don't think it's a Swampert in the back in this team, and that kind of really messed me up. In hindsight, I probably shouldn't have been switching into the Gallade anyways here. I should have switched into the Gengar. Because now my Gallade, oh yeah, that was a really good play by them too. I did not expect, so like Weather Ball's DPE is like just as high as Earthquake, but holy cow, I did not expect. Earthquake just does enough damage there that if I didn't shield, I go down. So I really didn't think they were actually gonna throw it, because it's super risky, but obviously they didn't really care. Skarmory comes back in. I'm gonna throw Shadow Ball, thinking that there's no way they're gonna shield their Skarmory. They think it's too tanky. But they do shield their Skarmory, and I'm in a bit of trouble here. Shield's down on their team, but my Obstagoon is not very healthy. My Gengar is not very healthy. I don't quite get that Night Slash off, and I have to decide to try and either farm down the Skarm and take super effective Mud Shots from this Politoed and whatever's in the back. And guess what? It's another Mud Shotter. So wrong water type, wrong Mud Shotter. It was a Poliwrath in the back. The double Poly, all in the family line. This is kind of cute. I really like this line. I think it might be better with Swampert than Poliwrath, but I really like that line. A lot of shield pressure, a lot of good synergy. That's a well-built line. Unfortunately, you do need XL Candies on 2 Pokemon and a Legacy TM on the Politoed to build it. But yeah, very, very good line for sure. I do like it. But not very budget. Whoops, sorry, I did not cut out that part there. Oops, sorry guys. I always miss one. It feels like this is the one. All right, Magnezone lead, and they're gonna swap right into Venusaur. So I started going into Gengar into Venusaur over Gallade after that one match where I found out you can't just farm it down with one shield. You need 2 shields. At that point, it's probably not worth it. So I went to Gengar, go straight Shadow Ball. They almost never shield. The problem is if you go Shadow Punch, you have to go down 2 shields as well. So it's like, which Pokemon are you going to switch in and go down 2 shields with versus? And the thing is, if you can choose to go into Gengar instead of Gallade, it's honestly better as well in a lot of cases, just because it's less versatile. So if they do have something like a Snorlax or an Obstagoon, then you're getting that Gengar out of the way. And I'm able to take out that Magnezone. So Magnezone versus Gengar is one that PvPoke says that Magnezone wins, but I have had very different experiences in game playing both the Gengar and the Magnezone side. With any little bit of energy advantage, it just completely flips. And people are a lot better at getting energy advantage on their Gengars than their Magnezones, because you just have so much more farm down potential. So yeah, I'm just gonna swap back into that Obstagoon just to win that game. As soon as I took out that Gengar, or sorry, that Magnezone with that Gengar, so Gengar takes out 2 Pokemon, it's over. That game is over. So Gyarados comes in, and this is a bit tough because I do want to keep switch advantage here, and I'm just waiting for them to throw a move. But they're smart, and they don't. And we're gonna play with some desynced switch timers. Or I'm just going to stay in, depending on if they let this through. And they don't, so I switch. And I'm like, I have no idea what they're building up for. I would have loved to catch a move on my Goon, but that's not the case. And I know we're playing desync switch timers now. Actually, I'm going to take this time to say I do have another advanced strategies video coming out very soon. It is about desync switch timers and how to play that scenario. I'm just waiting for a bit of a lull, so it'll probably come out sometime in this weekend once I've had time to put it all together. So I know I've neglected the advanced strategies guide a little bit, the advanced strategies and mechanics stuff. I've just been very busy coaching through Patreon, but don't worry, I'll be bringing it back, especially during my slower leagues, mainly Ultra League in the future. So so that'll be back. Also, I guess since this is that game was pretty much over. As soon as all they had left was that Dripblim, take this time to remind you guys, or just thank you guys so much for watching, and remind you guys to hit that subscribe button if you like the content you're watching, if you made it this far already. So Togekiss lead, oh god, I should have talked a little bit longer so you guys would not have paid attention to what's going on the screen. It's an Air Slash Togekiss. So with Charm Togekiss, I think going to Gallade is good. Air Slash Togekiss, oh boy, this is rough. They got charge moves. They're not using them properly. Like, they're throwing ancient powers. Like, throw Flamethrower or something. Like, I get a shield back. This should never have happened. But unfortunately, I shield this too. So I should have realized they're probably running Dazzling Gleam or something like that. An ancient power. And they get the boost and have to switch out. So this does give me a win condition here. Because now I get Shadow Claw off and then switch into my Obstagoon. I'm going to shield here. Just close combat one-shots. And I'm Night Slashing early because it doesn't one-shot, right? So I'm just trying to get it out there and then farm down. So they're going to come back in with a Machamp, unfortunately. So this was well played by them, right? They baited out my Goon. Oh, sorry, that's not Machamp. That's a Galarian Machamp. Sorry, Galarian, or Surfetched. And they baited out my Obstagoon, and they're going to be able to farm me down. Luckily, I'll be able to switch out, but if they've got Brave Bird, it's over. And they do. Night Slash, you survive one. But Brave Bird, you don't. And we're going to fake tie there. We're going to tie, except they have a Pokemon in the back with like 1 HP, so I'm going to lose. But yeah, that was well played by them. But like I said, the Charmer in the front, or Fairy type in the front in this case, is too hard to overcome. We were both playing double weakness lineups here. You can tell instantly we both swap. I decided to take a move here. Power Whip. And honestly, I probably should have shielded the first one, because now they're just going to get to a Rock Slide, and I'm not even going to get to close combats first. I should have shielded the first one. Power Whip takes a little bit longer to get to, and now I'm just going to fire off these close combats and just look to absolutely murder this Tangrowth and then grab a shield back from whatever comes back in. And it's likely going to be that Typhlosion, right? Unfortunately, they get an entire free Incinerate through. That's a bad feeling. Ugh, I'm not a big fan of these 5-turn or even 4-turn moves. Just letting one through is such a big disadvantage, and it tilts the game away from newer players. It increases the skill floor here, where these 5-turn moves are much better at the lower skill brackets than they are at the higher skill brackets, and I don't think that should be a thing. It's tough to make good balancing decisions. And I know I'm preaching to most of you guys hate Razor Leaf out there, but Razor Leaf does a lot better at the lower brackets than the higher brackets, and yet it got a nerf as well. And you don't see it. There's no Pokemon that really runs Razor Leaf anymore in any league. There was already only Razor Leafers in one league. And the higher levels, you didn't really see anyone running Razor Leaf at all. But it gets nerfed. And this is going to be the same thing with Incinerate. If Incinerate was a bit more powerful, it would probably get nerfed too, just because people would be like, oh, if we let a free Incinerate through this Typhlosion, is like absolutely done. Whereas at higher levels, you can't really let a free Incinerate through unless it's like they're coming in just like that. So that was the first time I've ever let a free Incinerate through, and it was a disaster. But yeah, this is all the games we've had for today. That's what watching the catching screen here means. But yeah, I will be playing this team tomorrow, Wednesday, 6 p.m. PST, or Pacific Standard Time. So if you guys want to stop by, I'll put my Twitch in the description. I'll put the rest of my socials in the description too, and I'll just put the name of the artist of all this wonderful music, Glitch City, in the description as well. I'm sure I'm not familiar with SoundCloud or whatever. I use Spotify to listen to them, just their discography. It's not even like specific music. It's just literally everything they've done. It's a lot of cool remixes. So I'll just put their name in the description too, just because I'm not very aware of the best way to promote somebody like that. But yeah, it's awesome DMCA free music. So yeah, let me know if you like that as well in the comments. Let me know if you like the music or didn't like the music, and try and figure something out with that. But as always, guys, thanks for watching.